This is Noreen Crone-Findlay from Crone-Findlay.com and toddytalkscrafts.com. If you use a pipe style of tapestry loom, one of the Archie Brennan looms, then I've got a tip for how to make warping it go a whole lot more easily. But first, let me show you my earls and things. So we have Toddy Talks Crafts is my blog. Crone-Findlay.com is my website where I sell all my PDFs and patterns and things. YouTube, well, we're here right now, of course. Etsy is another place where you can buy my patterns and wonderful other treasures. And you can follow me on Facebook by going to Noreen Crone-Findlay Designs, and it has no dots or dashes. And that'll take you to my Facebook page. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I came up with. I'm sure other people have thought of it too, but I pondered and pondered in order to figure this out. My husband and I built the Archie Brennan style pipe loom, and you'll see that in a second. But what I'm showing you here is when I was thinking about how to make warping it an easier process, I remembered seeing on Facebook, no, not Facebook, YouTube, video where a woman was spinning, she was spinning a loom to warp it. And I thought, oh, that's neat. So when we built the Archie Brennan loom, I was thinking about an easier way to warp it. So I thought, it took a while to think my way through it. And you can see, all my little sketches here going, if we drilled a hole this way and cut it in half and drilled holes this way to clamp it together and then drilled a hole for a pivot. This could work. And so that's what we've done. Now, I've got the you have to, it's a two-part system because you have to have a place to hold your pivot points off of the clamps that go onto the loom. And at first we drilled holes. Let's see if we can see it. We drilled holes for the pivots to go in. And that was awful because the pivots, my husband used threaded rod bolts, and they just chewed their way in and they weren't spinning. And so I figured, let's try eyelet hooks. You can see it a bit more easily here. And I've got them clamped onto sawhorses, and I've got the sawhorses sitting fairly close together because I wanted to have the loom just sitting flat, so I could show that to you at first. So after I will take the clamp off the loom and show you exactly what it looks like when it's in pieces. I need to, let's see, you need to have your sawhorses far enough apart that you can spin the loom for warping. So, okay, they're far enough apart, but you want them close enough together that the pivots coming out of the clamps are going to sit resting on the easily into the hooks that are put into their closed cup hook thingies, and you want them lined up straight. And so what I'm going to do is reach down and grab my warp, and I will tie the warp on. Oh, and what I've done on the end of the loom, now you can see I've got my cartoons are already on here, although this one's covered because I need the project that I'm doing, I need to have this side of the loom warped, covered, the cartoon covered for the first stage of what I'm doing, but it's a long story. I can get into that later, but not in this video. Okay, so I've got my cartoon boards secured to the loom, and of course when you've got the tensioning nuts here in the sides of the loom could flop apart, although that's pretty unlikely if the cartoon board wasn't holding it securely together. So that's why I have my cartoon board in there. Plus, that's just how I like to work. You probably have your own way of working. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie the warp on here, and then I will start the process of warping. And because I like to work 8 ends per inch, and I'm going to be weaving on both sides of the loom, I need to have 8 ends per inch going on. If you're going to reach through and bring strands from the back through to the front and just work on the one set of strands, then you would just do 4 ends per inch. And so using 1/4 inch graph paper makes the process so easy for putting on 8 ends per inch, because what you're doing is you're going to put, hopefully you can see this, you're going to put one strand on the line and then one strand halfway between in the middle mark, and then again you just repeat line, middle, across, and that'll give you your 8 ends per inch. Okay, I'm going to stop and tie on the warp and get started, and I'll set up the camera so that I can be running the camera while at the same time as putting the warp on. So I'll just do that now. And so here's the pivot at work. The cone of warps is on the floor underneath the loom, and then I just place the warp strand right where I want it to be. And you don't have to make your tension doesn't have to be earth-shatteringly tight, because of course you're going to tighten your tensioning device afterwards. What's more important is to keep an easy, uniform tension the whole time that you are placing your warp onto your loom. Now, I used waxed linen to tie the cartoon board on, because the first time I did it, I used my shoelaces that I usually use and realized, oh, that really interferes with the warping process. So I just used the shoelaces are fine at the side for stabilizing, but I switched to the waxed linen to hold that in place, because it's incredibly strong and it really doesn't interfere with the warping process at all. So you can see how much more simple it is to use pivot clamps when you're warping a pipe loom, and it's just made my life so much easier. I am thrilled with them. Totally excellent. So I will just finish with the warping process here, and then I will take the clamps off the loom and show them to you in pieces so that you can get a better idea of what it is that you'll need to do to make yourself a set. And if you're going to work with an Archie Brennan style loom, a pipe style loom, I think taking the time to make a set of the pivoting clamps is really, really worthwhile. So I'm just going to turn this off. Oops, sorry. And then once I've got it warped, I'll take them off and show them to you a little more closely. Okay, I just wanted to mention these are the parts of the clamp sitting on the warped loom, which is sitting between the two sawhorses. I just wanted to mention to you, while you're doing the warping process, don't answer the phone, put the dogs out, let the dogs in, and they can just wait until you're done. Really, you need to focus because you need to have uniform tension, and stopping and starting is really not a good idea. So prepare to, once you tie on and get started, just don't stop until you get to the other side, because otherwise your tension goes all cattywampus. Okay, so here's what you need for your clamps. Now you have to have two sawhorses or two surfaces that are horizontal and exactly the same height, because otherwise it's not going to, the pivots won't run true. You need to have blocks of wood that you can put these eye thingies, you know, the screw eye jobbies. That's the technical word for them. I don't know what it really is. Okay, and two walloping big C-clamps to clamp your wooden pieces in place. So we've got those two blocks. So those are the female end of the pivots. Now, I'm going to just put the piece of wood together. You can see I drew stars on each half of one of them and spirals on the other, because if you put them together wrong, then it's challenging. Okay, so you're going to start with a block of wood, and it I don't know, that looks to me like it's about 2 inches by 3 inches by about 4 inches, something like that. Maybe that's 3 inches. Anyhow, you're going to start by drilling a hole about 3/8 of an inch or half an inch from one edge of the hole. Then you're going to turn your block of wood over and you're going to drill holes. You're going to drill 2 holes so that you can put bolts through. And personally, I would have preferred longer bolts, but that's what we had, so that's what my husband used. And then you're going to saw it not in half. You want it to be down the exact center. It has to be the exact center of your half-inch hole, or whatever the diameter of your loom is, of your loom pipes. That's the size you want this hole to be. So then you slice that in half. Okay, and once that's sliced in half, come apart, little darlings. It's not coming apart. Ugh. I'm apart. Shake, shake, shake. Suppose I could edit, or I could sit it down. Okay, I'll sit the camera down and pull it apart. There we go. We've got it apart. Okay, so then on the piece that's wider, that's going to go to the outside of the clamp, at the center, and again, make sure it's at the exact center. You're going to drill a hole and countersink it for the bolt that's going to be your pivot point. So it's kind of a lot of measuring and fussy fiddling, but oh my word, once you've got them, you'll just be thrilled. So it's really worthwhile to do the fussy carpentering, and it'll make your warping process just go like a song. It's a thing of beauty and a joy forever. So, oh, I should show you what I use for my easel stand for the pipe loom. I'll just do that. So I've got lights, little lights that clamp on the top of the pipe, and then the loom itself is sitting on a music stand, which works beautifully because, of course, you can raise and lower it and tilt it, and it just works beautifully as the stand for your loom. So, happy weaving, and we'll see you again soon. Cheerio. Go sweetly, go easily.